Hey yo, in this video I'd like to share how I'm able to get B2B SaaS startups more deals regardless of their market. And the first one which you see here is clarifying your ICP. Couple years back my coaching business was not doing as good because I was trying to be helping everyone. I was super passionate about coaching startup founders, and that's why no matter what market they were in and what type of business they were operating, I wanted to help them out. And by me trying to help everyone, unfortunately, my success rate was not as high because if the person was growing a marketplace, if the person was growing a B2C SaaS product, a B2B product, an enterprise level product, I was trying to work with all of them just because how much I love it. However, I was not able to build a repeatable system of helping them grow their revenue. And that's why after years passed, it's interesting how you can build a direct correlation between the revenue SaaS camp my business is doing and how few people were helping out. Because initially, again, this was everyone. When back then I was not only working with SaaS startups, but apps and few other types of products, and also I was not clear in which particular side I'm helping them with, because yes, sure, it was sales and marketing related, but sometimes it got into product UX, and sometimes I needed to help them out with their email campaigns to their existing users, and that was a totally other story. I mean, yes, sure, it was giving them some benefit, but nowhere near to the amount of value that we're able to provide today, because today we're only working with B2B SaaS startups who are selling through product demos, and equally the enterprise level startups who are also selling through direct sales, because two main problems we're solving is helping B2B SaaS startups get more product demos and increase their close rate so that they can get into 20 to 40% close rate. I was able to solve these two problems for my business, and that's why we're now running a simple model of doing the same but for B2B SaaS. And clarifying your ICP is super important, because the more people you are aiming to onboard and the more people you are aiming to sell your product to, usually the higher your churn, the lower the retention, the lower the NPS score. And that's why everything, no matter the niche we're working in and no matter the market, it starts with us going as detailed as possible on our ideal customer profile. So typically the one who gets the biggest value is the one who has the burning pain resolved. And that's why I come up with 3 buyer personas facing the biggest pain and build outbound campaigns to test who cares most and buys quickest. Second one is after we build out the campaigns and start testing different variations, we empower the offer. So to get success with cold traffic, the startup's offer should be so good that it gets prospects up at night to join the call. To achieve that, I use the value proposition framework. We help ICP get this numeric dream outcome without ICP's number one limiting belief or concern. So when we know every tiny detail about who we're selling to, we can then call out top 3 concerns, objections they are giving us on the call. And our goal is to address this in our funnel upfront. Here's the example. If the concern is most B2B SaaS startups hate that accelerators charge fees and show no commitment, often charging you equity as well, the solution is a performance-based accelerator that gets most of its fee only after growing a B2B SaaS by 240k ARR in less than 6 months and refunding the onboarding fee if this result is not achieved, and which doesn't charge any equity. Being in the same niche for years helped me understand what are the most common concerns and objections people have against different coaching programs in the startup space, and that's how I solved them with my business model at the foundation of it and with my marketing. As a result, I applied those in my outbound campaigns, and since then I've been getting 2 to 5% interested reply rates on LinkedIn and cold email, which is quite good and allows us to be averaging between 10 and 15 calls a week right now. The next one is we need to do required inputs. Universal business law is that your revenue depends on how many people know you. So get more people to know you. Do you know the difference between a 10K a month business and the one which is doing 1 million a month? Amount of eyeballs they get exposed to each month. 100 website visits versus 10,000. 3 sending domains versus 200 domains. $30 daily ad spend versus 3K. And the numbers above I copied from one company that I know is doing this amount. I swear it is really hard to send 20,000 emails with a 50% open rate and not to book a few meetings, closing a few sales. And that's what I specialize in. The same goes for showing an ad to 20,000 people. If you agree, then it's not about whether you can make it work or not, but rather how economically effective you can make it work for you. The better insight you have into your buyers, the better messaging you can come up with, and the cheaper your campaigns are going to be. Again, I was taking part in different accelerators, and I hated it so much that there was close to no commitment from anyone's side. I would be getting no support, and I joined 2 or 3 programs. Some of other ones would be also asking for equity up front. Meanwhile, how can you be asking for equity when you provided someone no value yet? And because sharing equity, especially if you're a startup founder, it is like marriage, and you want to get into such partnerships which you completely trust, which are built on a foundational level, and which you can see happen in future, like the party providing you value for 5-10 years in future. And giving away equity for someone you haven't even met yet, I didn't want to do this. And only then, for instance, you join, and then you are in a cohort of couple hundred people, no one cares about you, you never get any one-on-ones. After a few months, you pitch your startup to a few investors, and as they are bombarded with hundreds of other applicants, no one cares about you. And all these things I thought are so wrong that I want to address them in my business SaaS camp, because it just was so broken that I saw, okay, it mustn't be like that, and started my accelerator where we do things like the exact opposite way. And as I was able to do that, we have been getting decent traction on our outbound by empowering the offer and by, again, doing the inputs, because I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am today with my business if we haven't been putting effort doing a ton of outbound initially to get the traction. Because I think to the date we sent over 100,000 emails. Same goes for LinkedIn messages, and I lost count of how many posts I've done, because now I am 6K on LinkedIn, 5K followers on Twitter, something like that. And interestingly, the LinkedIn was so much easier to grow after Twitter, because you can have some automations running and engagement is just easier there because algorithm is in your favor. But back to our story. It's really hard to be sending tens of thousands of emails every month and not be making revenue and cash flow with it, especially if you're selling a decent price ticket SaaS product, being from 1K all the way to 20, 100K a year subscription. Because if you're able to get 10 meetings, usually you're able to close a few, and ideally you want to be closing 3 to 4. And that's why it just works. So do more inputs. Next one is, what I do is I test 3,000 leads in each market. And an important principle is not dropping things too early. For one product I built, I reached out to 20 people, had almost no replies, and convinced myself the tool doesn't work. If only I had some realistic understanding of, okay, how much actually is required of you to get the first 100 users. Then I would not ever set such unrealistic expectations for one no-code tool that I've been building. Now in campaigns I run with startups, we do minimum sample sizes of 3,000 leads per customer profile. And from that we're able to see whether it makes sense to continue or not. You don't want to be in this short-term thinking that, okay, you send 100 emails, you don't get sales, oh, it doesn't work. You want to be operating in a more logical sample sizes. When we're doing cold email, we want to do per each variation and per each angle, we do a minimum sample size of 250 emails. And then we're again testing 3 profiles of at least 3,000 people in each, also having different variations. And from us reaching this amount of people, we're able to see, okay, who resonates with the offer, who does not, who comes to calls quickest, and whether it works for some niche audience or not. The next one is finding message market fit. When you know who exactly shows the most interest to your offer, your aim becomes finding message market fit, or in other words, the email copy that gives more sales than alternatives. My friends ask me, with you doing this many ridiculous A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J tests, have you ever implemented this knowledge afterwards? Has it ever been useful? And I say yes, because by sending tens of thousands of emails from all different angles, I was able to identify concerns that I never thought existed for my offers and for some of my clients' offers. Example, with one of the startups doing sales automation, I was sure that if we wrote to people postscriptum we're not a lead gen agency, people would finally stop mistaking us for a lead gen agency, but I was wrong. That's why we went for a totally different positioning, as being confused with a lead gen agency was taking us too far away from the pricing we wanted to be at. So yes, I'm a testing evangelist and someone who says that it is worth doing A, B, C, D, F, G campaign tests, because you just are able to get so much more knowledge about the market. Entrepreneurs find it okay to record 30 hooks for ads, and I spread the same principle when it comes to outbound, that it is okay to test 30 variations before you find your message market fit and can stick to one winning formula. Finally, number 6, the thing I do is I improve funnel conversions. Once the startup has message market fit and it's growing on a good trajectory, we want first to eliminate funnel bottlenecks before they occur, and second, build systems that will get us predictable customer acquisition and retention. For that, I use the thing which I call conversion optimization model. Here, there are 3 parts: front end, mid end, and back end. For front end conversions, we should keep in mind that this is the top of the funnel. Mid end conversions are mid funnel, and back end is conversions at the bottom of our funnel, like referral rates, churn rates, upsells, stuff like that. Every week, we go through open rates, reply rates, and booking rates, finishing with NPS, referral rates, and cross-sell rates. Who has a better chance of preventing disease? Someone who is doing blood tests every month or every decade? That is exactly why we want to keep them in mind. You don't want to be doing health check-in once a decade and then be surprised why you got some new illnesses coming. No, it doesn't work like that. You want to be doing this health checkups a few times a year so that you can pre-diagnose some of the things which you don't want to happen. Going through each number on a regular basis allows us to continuously make the funnel better and to have a good trajectory for the company's growth. Here are some of the things which I do to help B2B SaaS startups get more deals regardless of the market, so you can feel free to replicate some of them for yours as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.